Okay, just like spermatogonia are the stem cells of sperm, oogonia are the stem cells of oocytes. Now, this is interesting. Remember, stem cells, they have two properties. One, they can undergo mitosis and regenerate more stem cells. And two, they can differentiate and become specialized. But when they differentiate, that's when they stop losing or they lose the ability to divide. Now, what about oogonia? Well, they're stem cells, so they can divide and undergo mitosis to generate more oogonia. So that's what we see here. But the thing about oogonia, at birth, when a female is born, what happens is that the oogonia stop undergoing mitosis. So once you're born, or a female is born, the oogonia stop dividing. And this is one reason why females have a limited amount of eggs. Why? Because if you don't have mitosis to regenerate stem cells, well, what happens? These stem cells can only differentiate, they can't divide, so you can't replenish the stocks of the original oogonium. So then by the time a girl is born, all the oogonia have developed into primary oocytes. So this is a point of no return. These primary oocytes, they cannot undergo mitosis to become or reverse to become oogonia. And the thing is that, so again, this is the reason why that women have a limited amount of ova, because again, if you stop mitosis, you stop cell division, you can't get the replenishment. Now, what happens is, so before birth, now we have all the primary oocytes when a woman is born, and then it undergoes this meiosis 1. So what happens is that you have a duplication of the chromosomes. So this is why they look really thick. There's actually 4 chromosomes linked together. And what we have here is that meiosis 1, this does happen, but it's paused until puberty. So all the primary oocytes, they do have DNA replication, but until a girl enters puberty, this process stops. But once puberty happens, this process resumes, and now you can have ovulation. So this is why ovulation and menstruation is associated with puberty. So now the pause button has been undone, and now what happens is that you have it splitting off into a first polar body. So the first polar body does have chromosomes, but notice that the secondary oocyte is very, very big. And the reason why is that it's not showing the rest of the contents, but it retains most of the cytoplasm and all the organelles and cytosol inside. So the thing about the polar body, it does have chromosomes, but it's pretty much a nucleus and a tiny bit of the rest of the cell. So there's unequal division of the contents besides the nuclei. Now what happens, the first polar body, it goes off and dissolves. And then what happens is that this has to divide again. Remember, the meiosis 1 is one division. That's why we went from the tetrads to these double chromosomes here. But what happens is that this secondary oocyte splits again in meiosis 2. And just like the first polar body, it divides its chromosome, but it doesn't divide its cytoplasm and the cell evenly. So these are why oocytes are very big, why ova are very big, because again, you don't have equal division of the contents of the cells. You get rid of, so during the process, it divides by half and half. So it does, again, this 2n here, 4n, for n referring to the sets of chromosomes, so 4 sets here. You divide by 2, you get 2 sets of chromosomes. You divide by 2 again. Now you have just 1 set of chromosomes. So when you're trying to fertilize an egg and have a new zygote and then a new embryo and fetus, what do you have to do? Combine 1/2 with another half from the sperm. Now this is how ovulation works. So this is your book's example, and what it's trying to show you is the process of ovulation and kind of like a time lapse of the different stages of ovulation. So what we have are, so the stages, as you can see, is primordial, meaning the beginnings of it, and then primary, secondary, tertiary are ovarian follicles. So it's getting bigger and bigger, and then it ruptures. And what happens is that when the follicle ruptures, it releases this oocyte right here into the fallopian tubes. And then after it's spent, this corpus luteum is a spent follicle, and then it becomes like the scar tissue called the corpora albicans. So no more egg in there. And again, this is another reason why women have a limited amount of ovulation cycles. Why? Again, you don't have these oocytes undergoing mitosis anymore. And once they're released, well, they can't replenish themselves. Again, the lack of stem cells, the lack of more, so the lack of generating more oocytes. And this is a better picture from another textbook, and I think it shows the time lapse better. And what you can see is that, okay, you start here, and again, the primordial follicles, and then it grows bigger and bigger, though you have ovulation. Then you have the formation of the corpus luteum, and then that scar tissue we call the corpus albicans.